Hello, I'm ToycatA, and welcome back to an episode of the Minecraft Bedrock Update Adventures Let's Play. This is the weekly update as to what's been going on, both in my survival world, as well as life, the universe, and everything in between. And in case you're curious about how the creeper farm went, things are going pretty well. I now have a pretty decent source of creepers. It's actually not perfect, there are some improvements we have to make. After like literally a couple of days of leaving it on, we're still not at a great amount of gunpowder, like a lot more than we get naturally, but still kind of lacking. So that's something that definitely has to be worked on. I think we need to torch up the caves around here, and there's a few other efficiency changes we can make, and definitely will make, but today it's not about the creeper farm, because that is far too niche a farm. Today I wanted to work on a much more essential farm, one that we all need in our Minecraft worlds, and that's going to require me to go back home and to get some resources. Okay, so I got myself the resources that I wanted to get, but I came back and I noticed that my barrel, it looks like it's open all the time. This is one of the weirdest bugs that I every now and then see. Just a barrel that is eternally open, because, you know, the cool thing about the barrel is it just has a different animation for open and closed, which arguably means, you know, even though this is a newer block, the chest is a way more interesting. Like, it actually opens and closes, whereas, you know, this is a 2010 block or something like that. The 2019 block just has a separate animation. There's no real even frames between them, and sometimes it gets stuck on the open animation, which is kind of glorious if you ask me. Anyway, we're going to put away our little, you know, like extra items, and we're going to go to the Nether, because as you all do know, I have some sky height farms in my overworld. I've got a sky height sugarcane farm, I've got a bamboo one, I've got a wheat farm. These are all fun farms to work on, and they're all manual, and I feel like, you know what, given that the Nether update is the current theme of the day, and given that my, you know, Nether is something I'm slowly working on, as you can see, I've got myself a little Nether temple. I've got this little storage area that also is going to act as a furnace, and a great way to deal with all this Netherrack that I'm going to be picking up. I feel like, you know what we're going to do today? We're going to be mining a bunch of this Nether and making a sky height farm here, because making a sky height farm in the Nether is actually surprisingly a lot harder than in the overworld. The reason for that is because you actually have to mine into the ceiling, and you have to mine into the ground. There's not only this weird ground level, but there's going to be some really weird gaps that we're going to have to work out and go through, and that's what we're going to be doing today. It's going to be a lot of fun, and it means we're going to require not only the blocks for our farm, but we're also going to require some wood, because the plan is to, you know, to get up and down, usually the fastest way is to just have water and, you know, like some soul sand at the bottom or something like that. That's usually what you do in the overworld, but in the Nether, there's no water, and therefore your elevators and your descending techniques, they have to vary a little bit. So descending, we can obviously just have a slime block, or if we want to be fancy, hay, so we just kind of hurt people, because hurting people is okay, trust me, just ask my ex-wife. But as well as, you know, that, you can also know for sure that, you know, like, going up is going to be a lot harder, and my plan is, interestingly enough, to use boats. So we're going to get a lot of wood, and we're going to make a nice little boat elevator for my farm, which, by the way, is going really well so far, as silly as this looks. By the way, a fun and incidental benefit of doing all of this mining in the Nether is we're going to be able to end up with a lot of Nether brick, which I want for some form of future project. Again, I intend to actually combine the results of this farm with some Nether brick to get some nice little results. So let's throw all of this in there. Also, let's pick up the smooth stone that we've been apparently collecting. I think I'll make some improvements to the gunpowder farm with that, but for now, let's just keep on throwing all of our netherrack in here, because I do intend to get a lot of these nether bricks. They're hard to come across, and, you know, honestly, netherrack is so common in my world, I'm never going to miss it, and I might just enjoy having some red nether brick if I get enough of this stuff. So that's the plan right there, but my plan, as far as the Nether, I've been a little bit, you know, like semi-opaque, I'll admit by now. I guess fully opaque. I've been non-transparent, which is what opaque means. You know, does opaque only mean, you know, like, because everyone knows opaque and transparent and translucent, because we all know science terms, but I wonder, does, you know, transparent in terms of like, oh yeah, you're showing things off, does opaque mean what it means, just as the opposite of transparent, or does it mean something by itself? Or is that a nonsense ramble to have by myself? I'm not too sure, but what have I been up to in the past week? I know you're wondering that right now. I know that's the primary question which is on your mind. What have I been up to, you know? What is your crazy person who calls himself a cat despite the fact that he is clearly a human being, what has he been up to in the past week? And as you all know, have you heard about this crazy time where you know, time doesn't really make so much sense? That's actually slowly starting to fade away. I've been having a pretty normal week, actually. I've been really focused on making Minecraft maps, surprisingly enough, actually. Like, it's something I kind of like pushed to the side because I've been particularly busy with like streaming and YouTubing, but as that's kind of like fading away a little bit because of recent stuff that's been going on, I think it's been kind of cool instead. Actually, I want to have 3 blocks between the layers anyway, just because, you know, it's kind of nice to have that extra layer. One of the things that I'm trying to do in more and more builds is have 3 blocks between the ceiling and the ground, just because it makes things feel more spacious. And in the case of this farm, it also saves me a little bit of soul sand, so that's nice. But yeah, I've been making a lot of Minecraft map stuff, and it's been kind of exciting. I finally do, as you all know, the Let's Play world is in the gears of the machine somewhere. We don't know when it'll finish those machines, because the gears of the machine are very interesting. I'd love to talk about that sometime more in depth once I know what I can and can't talk about. But like, that's been going on. But also, I've been working on a survival map, which interestingly, again, like I really like survival challenge maps. I've said this, you can reconfirm this if you want, but ever since literally 2012, maybe 2013, but like the end of 2012, like the first year of Minecraft console being around, they hinted that maybe eventually they'd be able to have like downloadable maps that they put out, and my immediate thought was like, heck yeah, survival challenge stuff. And we kind of got some of that with the tutorial worlds, which were free, which I really loved, but I was always willing, like, they could have named a price, and as long as it wasn't like $15, that's a price I'll only play for Modern House. I was like, yeah, I would be so excited for an adventure challenge map. And so it's been really cool, like, to be working on Minecraft maps, because when you work on a build for yourself in Minecraft, there's something fun about that. Like, right now, no one else gets to enjoy. Oh, I mean, I guess if you download the map, you do. But like, this is explicitly meant as like a thing that will help me out, that is also just a little bit wacky for the sake of being wacky, that is going to be genuinely really great. I'm looking forward to the creation of this, but it is mostly like, oh yeah, I make something, and it's for me, like, the point of Minecraft is for your own enjoyment. Making things for others to enjoy is like both a different challenge and also an entirely new experience. It's kind of like, I do a lot of cooking for myself, but when I cook for myself, I'm very lazy because I know, like, oh yeah, I won't value the extra 5 minutes into putting, like, I don't know, dumb herbs on the plate so that it looks nicer. Like, I present my food awfully because I don't care about food presentation. But when you're doing things for other people, all the elements that you don't care about, you have to assume that people care about. Like, yeah, as a result, like, some of that is working its way into a map. Like, I think it's always important to not care about things, again, here's something interesting. I think this is like maybe an artist quandary, but when you're making something for others, it's very tempting to be like, oh yeah, here are the things that everyone does. Like, when you're making a YouTube video, you need to have an intro where you go, what's up guys, it's your boy RBX, ToycatA the Panda here. Or I guess Frosty the Panda. That was Frosty the Panda. Whoever's been asking for it for all those years, you finally got your voice. But like, you have to be named after an animal to make Minecraft videos. We all know how that works. And you have to have a dumb name, and you have to say, what's up guys, which, by the way, again, not that I take any issue of like, what's up guys, like, it's fine. It's it's basically gender neutral. It's like, it's just the way of saying like, oh yeah, hello friends, without, but like, guys is like, guys can mean so many different things to so many different people that it's kind of great in that way. It's deliberately vague, and it's like, oh, maybe he's my friend. Maybe he's just speaking to a stranger. He's trying to impress me for the first time. But like, so many YouTubers then get stuck on the thing of like, I have to be exactly like existing YouTubers. You know how like YouTubers have that page on their channel where they're like, hey, don't message me on, they'll have an email and they're like, this is for business inquiries only. You can only email me if you're a business inquiry or something like that. And it's like, when you're a small YouTuber, it's kind of cool. Like, one of the things I've always said is you can take advantage of your size and do stuff that bigger YouTubers can't. Like, oh yeah, you can actually have, you can actually play with your fans directly. Like, that's something that is kind of cool that just isn't feasible once you go past a certain point. And yeah, as a result, like, I feel like a lot of people don't really realize, all the things they could be taking advantage of until it's kind of too late. Also, this farm is coming together nicely. I really enjoy it. But yeah, so doing things just because they're done is kind of dumb. But also, you got to realize that, like, oh yeah, some things that you wouldn't do because it's not worth the effort for you are probably worth the effort for some people. There's like that eternal balancing act that I'd say every artistic medium does. Like, there are some, one of my favorite games, I played BioShock Infinite again recently. That game is a first-person shooter. It's admittedly from 2009, but it has controls which match like a weird bygone era of how like PC, it has some very bizarre controls on there, like regarding how aim down sight works. I don't even think you actually aim down sight in that game, but like it doesn't make any sense, especially for a controller. But it's like, oh yeah, it was just made in a time, and it's such a good narrative game that you can ignore the controls. Like, the controls don't work how controls in every single other game work, which is a little bit annoying, but you kind of put it to the side. Whereas if they decided, to go even more annoying on it, they're like, oh yeah, what if the shoot button was the, like, what if all the controls are randomized? Like, you can go a little bit zany, you can go a little bit off the track, but once you go a little bit too far, that's when things start to kind of break on you. Anyway, let's let's go put our netherrack away in some more furnaces. I didn't really, again, when you're mining in the nether, because of how fast netherrack breaks, I feel like you never appreciate just how much you're ever really getting. But we're going to end up with a whole load today. Anyway, so I've been working on Minecraft maps. It's been a whole interesting experience. It could go literally nowhere. Again, one of the cool things, I feel like a lot of people are like very, they don't like criticism and they're willing to like go for a lot of effort to make sure they don't get any. I'm terrified of criticism beyond belief. Like, obviously, like, I want to make things that are so good that no one even could criticize. There's not even bad words you could say against it. But I think in reality, like, I'm kind of excited to see, like, what people like, but also what they don't like, you know? Like, it's an improving process, especially when you're new at something. And as someone who, you know, like, does a lot of videos, like, sometimes even one a week, where I, you know, check out other maps and go, well, this kind of misses the point of what a map is meant to be, in my opinion. I'm kind of excited to see the same thing happening, but also terrified. Like, there are some people who are, like, really gunning for anything that I make because they're like, well, you know what? If you ever criticize something, you have to make things that are perfect by every definition. And, you know, I've even mentioned some people, like, came at me for, like, screenshots they saw, and they're like, you know what, these screenshots, you want people to pay for them? It's like, no, there's a map that I'm hoping people will enjoy as an experience. I don't think, you know, like, if your entire Minecraft experience can be summed up in a screenshot, maybe you're the one that has the problem. But, like, that was a real marketplace, you know, team being like, I can't believe you wanna, yeah, and it's like, man, this is a wacky world, you know. Like on YouTube when I started, I remember there was a whole bunch of people like, because I used to make news videos, and a lot of people said you can't make news videos; they're low effort. Like, because when you think about it, compared to right now, you know, we're spending, you know, these Let's Plays are getting closer to an hour every week. I don't want them to be an hour, but it's like an hour, and then that's really about an hour and a half. Last week it was 2.5 hours of unedited footage that we've got to take. Okay, I am running out of furnaces that actually have space for me to even do this in there. But I'm getting a lot of smooth stone, which is going to be great for my creeper farm, if nothing else. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to go and do a little lava bucket run, because this is a lot of netherrack we are smelting down. But yeah, when I first started YouTube, a lot of people really, you know, hated the idea that I would cover news, and they're like, oh, so low effort, I can't believe you do that. But the people who actually were the ones, you know, like, you know, watching those videos, you know, those low effort, oh, I can't believe you told people about what's in the update. What a, you know, like, kind of clickbait thing. Like, there was so much criticism, but all of the people who made that criticism slowly faded away. Like, they didn't actually care, you know, like, clearly they didn't care about YouTube too much because they stopped. I'm still friends with, like, I know some of them, I guess. I'm friends with, I made friends later, like, all years later, and they're like, yeah, that was kind of dumb in some cases, but, like, there was such a huge criticism in the early days of Minecraft console YouTube, because, you know, like, the rules of engagement are kind of ones you have to make up yourself when you're in a new field, and to some people that means, like, we have to work out what's pure and what's not. Like, there's always, in any group, you find this, like, kind of purity contest where people are trying to work out, like, well, what's good and what's bad? We get to make these rules ourselves, so it's important we make them good, right? Also, I'm slowly draining the lava here. It's getting more and more drained every time we come here, right? That's the cool benefit of what's happening. Also, we got a boat here that I should probably take. Yeah, let's take that boat. You know, I need boats. So let's take this one with me. We do have the space. Because I'm going to make something fun, I hope, with boats. I feel like I'm being very vague. But you know what? If you like me being vague, let me know. Wait, if you like me being vague, vaguely leave a comment that you enjoy. You maybe enjoy these videos, or maybe could not enjoy them. That's what I think you should do. But yeah, there's whenever you do something new, I feel like there's gonna be a lot of criticism, and sometimes it's super valid. But if you're right, you'll stand the test of time, that one, and if you're not, you won't. Again, because, you know, so the message can always seem like, oh yeah, so whenever you're, like, rebelling in a field or whatever, that means that you're doing it right. And yeah, that's something that a lot of people do take very literally in that way. But even that's kind of not true too, because someone had the idea, like, it was literally, I spent hours working on a thing, like, working on finding, I think it was like 300 diamonds plus some emeralds on a Minecraft seed. So if you wanted to get some diamond locations, because it was kind of hard, you could use the seed. It was like a thing I did. And, you know, the whole deal was, like, anyone can make a video on this seed. All you got to do is, you know, like, you know, maybe leave some credit, because obviously it took many hours to, you know, find all that sort of stuff. And, you know, you're literally copying the coordinates. It's not even the seed. Like, the seed itself, like, steal it if you really want to. Like, Minecraft seeds belong to everyone. But, like, once you put in, like, all the effort into finding the coordinates or whatever, I was like, well, that seems like something that I did. But, like, someone was like, no, actually, I actually deserve to steal this without credit, because if I credit you, then more people know about you, and more people need to know about me. Like, a guy had one guy I knew had a full-on power trip, and then, like, even, like, because of, you know, because I was like, hey, you know, this does breach YouTube's rules on this. He had a power trip, and, like, after I said, like, I could take that down, and he DDoSed one of my streams. Like, there was a crazy, crazy man on the loose, but he also has faded away. Like, the people who are, you know, most into making the rules are not always the ones who are most interested in the long term. Whereas, again, it's one of those little stories, from Tales from YouTube, maybe we could call it, that's kind of happened over time. Also, we're going to keep this stone somewhere important. You know what? I don't know where. For now, we'll just put it in the shulker box. No, we won't. See, as you can see, do you see what I mean when I say I have just too much storage? So we're going to throw it in this box right here as we grab our soul sand again and get right back to working. But yeah, the message from what I was trying to say there is not only just like, hey, when you do something new, there's going to be people who tell you that they hate it and that you should stop, that you should do something else. But it's also one of the most important lessons I kind of learned. One of the things that makes me very slightly less terrified to one day be a parental human being. Because, you know, one of the things, I think anyone who had any non-ideal parts of their childhood is terrified of the idea of repeating, you know, I'm kind of anti-child. You know, not only in the sense that, like, you know, get them away from my lawn or whatever, but also I'm kind of against the idea of children because, like, man, you know, I don't want to mess someone up. Like, I had a phase when I was, you know, kind of depressed as a teenager. Like, why do I have to be? You don't have the choice to be. So when, if you're gonna bring someone into the world, try and make it the best person you can. And that's a lot of pressure, and that's like something that's been on my mind. Maybe it's on yours too. It's definitely not on the minds of the people in my life who, you know, have had children since 14. It's, you know, again, I'm 24 and I'm surrounded by some very interesting peers on that front as regards of, you know, how long they've been in the you know, having a family game. But the point I'm trying to say is that one of the things that really made me feel less terrified is that you can kind of define when you're having a relationship with someone, like, and that by that I mean literally any relationship you want, you kind of get to define that yourself. If you have really awful parents, like, once you turn whatever age you need to be a, you know, an individual in your country, sometimes it's 16, 18, 21, whatever age you want to say, but once you are an adult of your own, you get to define that relationship with your parents. Were they bad parents? You know, like, are they still being bad to you? Like, again, lots of people have this experience. How do I get up there? See, this is why we need a ladder, which is why I'm going to work on that now. So the plan here is to make myself a bunch of birch boats. I'm going to have the one jungle boat in there just because I think it'll be interesting. So we've got a bunch of birch from all the chopping trees that we've done. Don't know if you've seen that. You know, it's a lot of very, very dull live streams where I chop down wood. So I hope you haven't seen that, but just in case you have, I'm sorry. So here is me making 6 boats for now, which we'll just stick to. We can make more later. And now we're going to need to go get some glass. I'll also make a quick attempt at enchanting my netherite hoe. I really want to get all of the enchantments together, but I just keep getting one at a time. It's fine. I have plenty of experience to keep trying this. Fortune free, silk touch, and breaking. Maybe you can't get fortune, efficiency, and breaking at the same time. Even though it happened when I tested in the Java snapshots, maybe in Bedrock it just doesn't, because I've wasted a lot of experience trying that. Maybe I should just combine hoes together at some point. Again, we'll have to consider this after we grab some glass from my furnaces. I'm always just smelting up some random bits of glass, and I always thought to myself, this is a real dumb thing to be smelting, but right now, seems real smart, huh? And then I think I keep the rest in my sand chest, because, you know what, yeah, it's definitely not a smart thing, but, you know what, glass panes, let's take them. Okay, so now, after I kill the horde of piglins, which are spawning right here, very annoying fact about the Nether. I wish there was some, like, condition you could use to stop piglins spawning. Maybe they've gotten their light affected and I just don't know it. I would love that to be true. Please let me know if I'm wrong and lighting up the Nether will stop piglins. Doesn't seem to be true, but I wish it was. Or maybe I should just wear gold when I'm in the Nether. Again, these are all solutions we can explore in the near future, perhaps. But for now, what I want to do is I want to have kind of over here somewhere. I guess I should have it end up on the other side of this pathway. Alternatively, it looks like I was already digging a little square by accident over here. So we're just going to dig that further and pretend that's what we were going for. Oh, Lord. Yeah, the Nether is not a fun place to farm. There's a reason you should usually do this in the overworld. We're going to have to come up with a bunch of mob protections to make this even fundamentally work. But that's okay. I like fundamental protections. That sounds fun. Demental and protection-y. Okay, so now let's... Okay, yep. Just so many magma cubes. Just keep on spawning. I'm gonna keep on fighting you. Honestly, this kind of is the cool bit of building in the Nether. Like, you're always surrounded... Like, you can hear those ghasts in the background. A zombie pigman jumps in here. If I kill him in one hit, his friends don't attack me, so... You know, might as well, I guess. There's like lots of things to know about building in the Nether that make it a more terrifying environment. Like that's why I'm kind of excited about the future of Minecraft updates. Oh, it looks like we have a tunnel going through here. I have no recollection of that tunnel, but it will be helpful for my farm, so I guess we'll keep it going. But that's the kind of cool thing about Minecraft, I think, is the reason they want to update the current dimensions before adding more, is because the Nether should be like a hostile but lucrative place to, you know, like have your Minecraft stuff, because you have the travel advantage. And then the end is like, again, a potentially hostile. I wouldn't really call it hostile, but at the end is a place filled with, just one mob. It's hostile in the sense that there's just nothing there, but that nothing there-ness is perfect for when you want to, build in the void. You want to have nothing as a backdrop. Whereas if I build in the Nether is a backdrop, which is beautiful for some things, but sometimes you want to have a build that like sits by itself. Like if you're building a giant spaceship, the end is the perfect dimension, because you know what the end looks like? It looks like space, debatably, I guess. But yeah. So the plan here is to just get all the way down to, I guess, lava lair. We should probably go below it, but we'll start roughly here. This seems like as good a place as any. You know, we'll go all the way down to actual lava lair, never mind. And so from here, the idea that I'm working with is actually quite a basic one. So glass panes are an interesting block as of, it was quite a few updates ago now on Bedrock and even more on Java. When you place a single glass pane, it looks like this. It's only after you add glass panes around it, like, that for instance, that it gets more, oh, okay, this is why it's terrifying to build in the Nether, because that will happen to your glass. But, so as you can see, I didn't have to remove that piece of glass because the game did it for me. Anyway, so as you can see, it makes this kind of like pillar like this. Yeah, we should really protect this whole area a little better than it is right now, perhaps. But I'm sticking to my point and I'm proving it, damn it. So now we remove these 3 glass panes in the middle, which again, it looks so weird that when you destroy this little thin pillar, what you get out of it is you get this like full glass pane, but whatever, we'll ignore that for now. And now we can place on this a boat. Even though it's just that wide, it will still support a Minecraft boat. And then we can place our jungle boat, our wild card, on top of this one if we want to. Again, even though it's 1 thick, it will support a boat. And then what we can do is, even once we're in this boat, we can actually climb and reach the next boat instantly. When you jump into a boat, you do so on an instant basis, and that is a really, really effective mechanism. It's kind of like the minecart elevators. I used to have one in my world, and then it broke, and then I didn't bother fixing it because flying existed in the meantime. But yeah, it's a really simple system, because all you gotta do, let's just show you another one right here. So now I remove these layers in between, and all of a sudden, as long as you do it right, you can have an elevator, which goes as close to instant as you can. Like, you can only switch boats like every 1/10 of a second or something like that. But it means that in pretty much no time, we can go from Y31 to Y39. And it's really cool, right? So yeah, we're going to do that going all the way up to the top of this farm. Oh, it's actually misaligned by 1 block. This should be 1 block further back because I'd started mining it wrong. So we're going to have to remove my entire minecart elevator because this one was just the test example. That is my official theory now. You know, what I want to know is if I have the boat land on my existing boat, I can just make a boat tower anyway, and it'll basically be the same thing, right? So let's just stack a whole bunch of boats on top of each other, and you can see how the exact same thing works here. Look at this. Wait, what's even happening here? I don't know what's happening, but I'm switching from the boat I'm in to the exact same boat. Oh no, I'm not. I'm on a different boat. It just looks like I'm in the same one. Whatever, boat towers. It's a thing you can make. It's a dumb thing you can make, but you know, Minecraft is a dumb game. So before we place this all the way up, let's see if we can actually have a 4th space in between the boats. Because I haven't tested it yet, but I'd like to believe it works. And as we all know, liking to believe something in 2020 is just as important as believing in the thing. So now we place a 2nd boat. It's going to be actually kind of a hard sell. Let's see if we can jump from this one up to that one. We cannot. So yeah, it has to be a 3 block. I guess a 4 block gap between them. This is 5 blocks. 5 blocks and you have to like jump out and then do it. Which is actually possible. It's just not faster, I don't think. Or maybe it is. But it's more effort. And who likes effort when you can not do that? So now we just remove that. And it goes down to the correct position where we can boat up using just the left trigger. Right click, whatever. Nice. And so now, as ridiculous as this looks, we're going to be making the world's most simplistic elevator. Because the crazy thing about boats is like, as time goes on, they just get more and more OP. Like, the fact that boats are not just viable in the overworld on oceans, they're not just viable on ice as the fastest form of transport you can get in Minecraft, even in the Nether, but also they'll work as an elevator, one of the fastest types. Really, again, realistically, I would say a water elevator is, if nothing else, more fun and about as fast. But yeah, the fact that this is one of the fastest ways to move in the Nether, I think it's kind of fun personally. And now we've made it to the ceiling, which is where the last boat will be for now. We should probably add more later, but again, we'll work that out. And now we climb downwards, placing a boat as we go. Oh, actually, that does not make things easy, does it? This makes things significantly harder. In fact, okay. You know, the whole how do you add boats to the elevator afterwards is a valid question I have to work out. But it should be easy enough for the most part. We just like remove the blocks, put down a boat. We can't reach that one, so we'll put down our own one. Yeah, I should probably make them face a consistent direction, because otherwise this happens. Okay, so now if this is going to be the way up, we need to have a way down as well. Again, way down are really easy to do. Like, you could just let people fly down, but it's just like a proper counterbalance, because now this is going slightly into the farm. Oh, actually, I think these blocks just go slightly higher up than the rest does. Oh, that's what it is. We can just remove these few bits of soul sand. This one went a bit too close to the thing anyway, so that makes my life a little bit easier, if nothing else. And then, yeah, we have ourselves a working boat elevator. And then next to it, we're going to have just a giant kind of tunnel down. Is this balanced? Nope, this one is slightly off too. Oh, also, we're meant to have a consistent direction that we place the boats from. But I think it's far more fun to just place them in the random orders we do. Because then the boat journey should, like, switch your direction, I think. Oh, no, it doesn't. You stay in the same orientation, regardless of the boat. Also, this boat allows me to get up here. So that is also potentially useful. There's a lot of questions I've got to answer before I work more on this. But how about we don't? Okay, I've got a bunch more boats. I've got a bunch more glass panes. And now... Actually, you know, I really don't need this many glass panes. But I might use them for the outside of all of this for reasons we'll get into. But let's keep digging down. Let's keep making this little tunnel for our way down as we do this. And you know, just because this is a slightly messy path, I've noticed one of the things. Again, maybe this is an inside tip. Maybe this is how everyone plays Minecraft. But there are certain things where it's easier to like multitask in Minecraft. The sorts of things that you can listen to a video. Some of you are listening to this Let's Play right now instead of watching it. That's okay too. But there are certain things where it's easier to do that than others. And I think I found one of the harder ones. So let's just grab a boat. Let's place it there. We're vaguely going in the same direction now, which is nice. And let's keep digging down. Oh, Lord. Okay, that hopefully won't cause issues. Does lava burn boats? I'm about to find out. Lava burns boats. Today I learned. Well, that is a tragedy. But you know what? We live and we learn. I mean, the boats don't live or learn. Also, it's so weird seeing this sometimes. Like the glass is basically transparent for most of its texture. So when you see it like poking through like that, it's just got a weird effect is all I'm saying. It's just got a weird effect. Okay, so right over here is where the slime block is going to go. I forgot to bring one with me, but we've now finished the boat elevator, at least as far as I can go. We obviously lost some along the way, and now we're going to test it and see how fast it actually works. As you can see, you know, that like kind of a fifth per second delay or whatever is kind of slow, but it means we can still get from 30 to 70 that darn fast. And if we can get down, which I'll do right now in the least effective way imaginable. The best actual way, in case you're curious, with an Elytra is to like kind of do circles, just like that. But let's try this one more time. Just kind of give this a time. Throw a timer on screen. Magical editing that is not me. Wow, look how fast that boat elevator was. That's how long it took me to go 44 blocks up. And I think that is actually pretty darn cool. Maybe you disagree, but that's the cool thing about the internet. Anyway, as you can see, let's get back to the main farm. Because as you have probably ascertained by now, this is a Neverwalk farm. And even though we need to add that slime block, pretty essentially, one of the other things we need to do is start planting the Neverwalk. Because if we're going to plant this entire thing, cover the entire thing in Neverwalk, we're going to need to have some planted now. Because the cool thing about farms, the thing I've always liked, is the kind of aspect where the more you work on them, the more stuff you get, which means the more you can work on them. And obviously, this is manual. You can have semi-automatic Neverwalk farms. This one's not even semi-automatic, so maybe like, ugh, not even that. What is even the point, ToycatA? But, you know, one, I think, it's part of it, it's just like an old school thing. Like, yeah, it's kind of fun to do old school ideas, even if they seem kind of dumb. And this one, you know, I'll admit it seems dumb. Like many things seem dumb. But it's also like, you know, there's just a certain charm in seeing some of farms. Even if it's not the primary way you get something, to have the ability to, if you want to, do all the work and get all the Nether wart, it's kind of fun, in my opinion. So yeah, we're going to just dig all of these layers all the way down. And that will be where we're going for the rest of today. Destroy some netherrack and then replace the blocks of soul sand. So yeah, this Let's Play, not just an opportunity for me to show you what we're building each week. And, you know, there's always something, sometimes more new than others, you know, like I feel like we got to do a lot of improvements to the creeper farm soon. We got to work on some minecart stuff. I might even start hiding some treasure, you know, some music discs around the world for the first update to the Let's Play world. Again, lots of ideas rolling around the place, but it's not just an update about that. It's not just an update of what's been going on in my life, which is kind of suspended because, as I've mentioned, these Let's Play episodes are kind of out of time. This is something I've tried to never do before now because, you know, usually one of the big points of the Let's Play was what have we been up to? And again, given that quarantine, I feel like it's changed a whole, you know, it's changed how that goes. And given that I don't have recording set up for the 2 weeks I was with these, I had to make the decision between, you know, being reliable, being there for people, like recording ahead of time, even though it means putting some, you know, lots more hours into Minecraft 1 week than ever. But I decided that was better because I want to be, you know, I really value, you know, like trustworthiness, loyalty, etc. And I feel like loyalty's kind of a two-way street. It's important to like, oh yeah, there are people who, you know, against all odds, manage to watch the Let's Play every week. It's kind of on me to make sure that there is a Let's Play for them to watch. I thank them for having watched this series for, you know, 300, in some cases 400 plus episodes in some cases. Or maybe you're new and you've just been watching for a few weeks. But I really try my best to like, okay, even if I'm not going to be there, let's try and work out how can we have a Let's Play episode. And that's the best kind of format we've come across. And maybe you like it, maybe you hate it, maybe you didn't even know this was out of time till just now, which would mean maybe I've done a good job, or maybe you see that as lying. Because one of the crazy things about YouTube is it is kind of always out there and always in a weird time void. Because, you know what, every YouTuber, if you want to like exist on this platform, you need to have regularity. And YouTube viewers care a lot more about regularity in terms of upload than they do care about like the time you made it. Like, if every YouTuber only uploaded videos the day they made them, then most YouTubers could only upload, you know, 4, 5, you know, 6 days a week. Or if they're doing 7 days a week, eventually they burn out. Which we've seen happen. Like, some YouTubers do go all the way to burnout because they feel pressured and obliged, like they have to do it that way. You know, like I mentioned, I've seen a lot of YouTubers come and go, for better or for worse. You know, I guess you can make a decent argument either way. But one of the interesting things about seeing all those people come and go is you see some common trends, and a lot of it is like people feel driven to do certain things. Like once you feel like you have to go beyond what you can do, and that's the minimum required, some crazy stuff can start to happen, is what I'm trying to say there. Anyway, so speaking of crazy stuff starting to happen, and speaking of time voids, an interesting subject that we went 2 blocks too far here. An interesting subject I really enjoy whenever it comes up is the idea of like life's getting longer, because one of the like kind of conversational tropes, one of the things we all kind of tell ourselves is that, oh yeah, life's getting, you know, longer. So even though, you know, like life expectancy right now is like 80, but by the time we're up there, it'll be like crazy high. And this is like, you know, factually not backed up by data. Like even, you know, but even though right now you can live to 80, the time you would live to about 30, 40 years ago, or let's just say 80 years ago, was still like 70 something. Like for every, and you know, like it's kind of slowing down every year. Like the odds, you know, for every year that you live, it's not that your life expectancy is getting 1 year longer or getting 9 months longer. It's like for every year you live, the average person born in your, you know, age group might live an extra, you know, few days a year, like, which is nice, but that's the average person. And so there's an interesting thing of like, what if one day we invent a pill, or we invent some magic surgery, some magic solution to old age, which doesn't make sense because old age isn't a thing. It's just your body. There's lots. It's kind of like, you know, a car or something. There's lots of parts in it. There's lots of things which are all functioning till they're not. But you know, like the idea is like, what if we just have a pill that stops aging, that cures aging? I find it interesting, the idea of like, oh yeah, we could all live until we're, you know, like, instead of living till we're like 100 at max, we could live till we're 200, or way more optimistically, people say like 500, 1,000. What if we could live for 8,000 years or something? Because if an interesting thing, this is my science teacher told me about, is like cancer cells. Obviously, they're cancer and they kill you, but if they didn't kill you, cancerous cells can live, instead of, you know, like kind of dying after you know, a few dozen years, they can live for like 8,000 years. If we just gave everyone all cancer all the time, which is a crazy solution, you could live for a few thousand years. And it always seems like such a positive thing because, you know, no one is ever super pro-death, right? Who's like, oh, I really love dying. No one makes the... you know, like, we societally have defenses for dying, but they're mostly things we tell ourselves because we have to. Like, you know what? We all have to have a job right now, so we tell ourselves that work is great. And I actually, again, I buy into that myth myself. I think without work, some people are significantly worse off. But in a world where there is no work, do we reinvent it, you know? Like, is that a thing we want? Like, it's like in a world without childhood mortality, a world without, you know, like, we got rid of smallpox. No one's like, oh, I miss having a tiny chance of dying of smallpox. When we get rid of this current year situation, there'll be some people actually who will miss, like, not having to work, right? Because in the, you know, there's a lot of jobs where you are being paid not to do stuff. But for the most part, people won't be like, oh, really hope we have COVID 2021 or 2022 or whatever year it is by the time we're out of current situation. But so yeah, the idea of like people living forever like seems kind of cool. But the thing that I think about as most interesting, like the biggest reason why we shouldn't, is because we fundamentally cannot work as a species if you live till 500 with the current kind of aging curve. Because one of the struggles we already have on such a huge level, like our intergenerational relations, basically. Like, if, you know, like the way people who were born in 1920 think is very different to the way people who are born in, say, 2020 think. Don't think that's a controversial thought, but just in case you think it is, I apologize. But no, it's, you know, there are huge differences that happen over time because you're a product of your environment to some extent, and you know that environment is changing all the time. Can magma cubes go in boats? I've genuinely never tried it, and I don't think anyone really has any need to, but I am so curious. Anyway, let's put our Netherrack away, by the way. Starting to run out of furnaces to put them in, but that's a-okay to me. See, whenever you build 20-something furnaces, people look at that and go, why do you have so many furnace rooms? But, I mean, for just getting rid of blocks and knowing I can use them later, very handy, actually. Very handy, actually. But yeah, one of the biggest hurdles, like, maybe you could say as a species, one of the things that was just normal, you know, like, in the before times, before we had industrialized society, is, like, once you stopped being of working use to the world, once you stopped being able to work, you would have to die. And in, you know, like, in the wild, that'd mean, oh yeah, when you hit 65, either the tribe murders you because you're no longer useful, or in more graceful, polite stories, it's like, oh yeah, we put the old people out, and you know, like we let them walk out into the woods and choose their own fate. But like it's generally assumed that you know, old people have to die because, you know, when you're in a hunter-gatherer society, once you stop making use, you have to be disposed of because you can only make one person can only find food for like 1.1 people or whatever it is. Now one person can make food for thousands. I mean, think about how few farmers there are in a given country compared to how many people there are, and how much food that makes as a result. Oh, what am I doing right here? I have misunderstood how this farm works entirely, haven't I? But it's very interesting that like we only recently got to the stage where like, oh yeah, you can live past the point where you're working because, you know, you can build wealth over your lifetime, which lasts through there. Even it was only like in the literally 100 years ago in most countries, and more recently than that in certain ones, where, oh yeah, just because you worked your whole life and you didn't save money, you didn't put aside enough money, or you don't have a family that looks after you. Because again, for most of history, you have children as like your insurance policy. They look after you when you're old if you're a good parent, which I always loved as the incentive of like, yeah, you better be a good parent or your children will leave you to die. Maybe even if you are a good parent, like you gotta raise them to think that they need to look after you, which I guess leads to some very dodgy dynamics in some places. But I always like the idea of like, that's you know, a lot of people don't like their parent situations raised by narcissists as a whole movement, right? But like having that counterbalance of like, oh yeah, well, you know, they're gonna die alone because they messed with me. That's like the most powerful, terrifying fear for a lot of people. You could inflict that on your parents. But like because of you know, like roughly 100 years ago, it was for a lot of countries it was like Great Depression, America in particular. But like you know, after that, it's like, oh yeah, you living or dying in old age is not dependent on how much money you put away, for the most part, because the government kind of guarantees it, which is wacky when you really think about it. Like, oh yeah, if you saved your whole life, you know, so you could work this out, that's great. If you didn't save your whole life, if you just kind of winged it, then you had like a safety net given to you. You had a way to live out the extra 10 years Now it's like 20 years between 65 or 67 or whatever age you want to deem it, where you're no longer working and you're deaf, which is cool that you get like you get to be alive. And in some cases, because some pensions were really, really, really good, it's like not only paid to be alive, but paid to do whatever you want to do. You know, that kind of the fact that it took us so long, you know, in human history, we're talking about 0.01% of even like, you know, society existing on any level to get to a stage where we could guarantee old people would not have to die just because they're not being productive, because every human has to be productive in the global village that is the world, right? But you know, like it's kind of interesting that we got to that point recently, and now imagine trying to look after people, but not only not working for the first 20 and the last 20 years of their life, which is a huge proportion, by the way. You're working now roughly half your life, and the problems that is causing all around the world is kind of huge. But imagine looking after them for the first 20 and now the last 400 years of their life. The ratio of people working to people not working would be huge, and that's why I don't want to get conspiracy angle on you, but if there was ever like a cure to old age developed, it would have to be insanely expensive. Because yeah, and then, you know, there'd probably be some big revolts over it. But you know, if you can give that ability to everyone, things do not work the way they do right now. Right now, you have something like half of the money that you make depends on where you live. I'm not gonna try and guess your tax rate and how much of that goes towards your old age, but it's at least like 10, 15% of what you make, probably significantly more, goes into theoretically paying for your old age, but it pays for people who are currently old to live. And then when you're super old, when you're you know, like when you need some money to live, the people who are young then can pay for it. You know, at that point, that's the kind of idea we live in. That's the social contract we're all kind of vaguely living under. Oh Lord! Oh no! Don't look at me! Don't look at me! Okay, it's good. He didn't look at me. But you know, that whole idea kind of falters at that point. And then you know, like the craziest thing is, wouldn't you rather live in a world where you believe that everyone goes at age 80? Even though it's not true, you can live till you know, 90. You can live till you know, 100 if you're both wealthy, lucky, and taking good care of yourself. You know, you can live to 120 if you get insane luck. If we could have a world where, like, oh yeah, there's this magic thing you can buy. It costs $1 million for every extra year you want to live, and then it would be so heartbreaking that you didn't have that. Like, wouldn't you rather live in a world where no one had a thing than where you know a thing exists but very few people can? Because again, fundamentally, you would have to be able to look after yourself at a certain point. But even if we ignore that, we say, okay, we develop the pill, it's cheap, and also we solve food. Because at some point, we will get to a stage where at least sustaining yourself is effectively free. Like, even right now, if you live in the West, people always talk about how expensive food is. Like, oh, it's so expensive. And if you're living on the street, like, yeah, food is expensive. Like, and most of the cheap food does require some resources to make. But food is intensely cheap. It's a knowledge gap we have in regards to getting it to people. Like, did you know? Have you ever looked at how cheap rice is? Have you ever looked at how cheap beans are? Like, you can live for, you know, pennies a meal. And pennies, by the way, are a British measurement of unit. A lot of people... I learned... I had a funny thing recently where, like... So an American in my life didn't know that pennies were, like, a British-like term that America's borrowed. Because, like, obviously, we have pence as our unit. So, like, 1 pence is 1 penny. They're like, oh, I thought that was an American thing you guys were using. But for like pennies a meal, you can eat you know, rice, or you can eat beans, or you can eat beans and rice. There's a lot of like you know, like financial people tell you, like, when you have other things, like when you have debt to pay off, eat beans and rice. Let's get. But like you know, the fact is, like, food is pretty close to free right now, and I think we'll always have food as a commodity. Like, some people think, like, oh yeah, in the future you'll just go to McDonald's and then the food will be free. But it's like, there will always be a type of food that people are willing to pay for, because food is one of the best things in the world. Like, just because you can get you know, like, and there's a lot of things that are fundamentally free but are also a commodity. I mean, we all know the vague concept of people who work in the industries that you know, we'll put it both ways, but industries that produce children, but maybe they're not producing children. Wow, that's a thing you can get for free. by just being polite to people and taking them on a coffee date, or 5. But also it's a thing you can pay money for. Why do people pay money for something that's free? Because it's complicated. Our relationship with money, our relationship with the world, very complicated. Why we like certain things more than others? Why do I like McDonald's more than making my own burger? Well, it's the convenience, it's the this, it's the that. You want to pay other humans to do certain things for you. It's just a fact that we all have in our lives. This farm is going pretty well, by the way. I like it so far. I hope you like it too. If you don't like it, I really need to surround it with glass or something, though. Like, it is like 1 or 2 bad ghast hits away from having some problems. Which I guess, you know, maybe we should get some glass going for it. But now, we are running out. We've got just 1 stack left of soul sand. And then we're gonna have to go get some more. It's a very tragic thing. You know, I really need to get that slime block here already, right? But yeah, my point kind of there was like, okay, so you have to be able to like work out, you know, like there's a whole like layer of like, how does this financially work? How do we manage to keep people going, given that they won't be able to work for most of the years if they're any amount as frail as they are right now? And if they're not, imagine working for 400 years of life. A lot of people get kind of terrified at the notion already at like, oh yeah, you work for 40 years. You know, you have to work for 40 years and then you can retire. There's a lot of money that, you know, the way retirement accounts work. There is money that I technically have. It's, I think it's in the 4 or 5 digits. Again, it's something I don't look at very often because if you have a retirement account in America, it's called like a 401k or an IRA. Or there's a lot of interesting things in America. But like in the UK, there's versions of it too. SIPP. If you know, these are all terms no one needs to care about. Look into them if you're young, just starting a job. You really need to think about this stuff. No one will tell you that you do. It seems like, oh yeah, the thing you need most is McDonald's. And I agree, the thing you need most is McDonald's. But second most, you need to look into what your pension is. But there's money I cannot legally touch until I am a certain age, you know? And it's, you know, that fact alone terrifies a lot of people away. But what should be more terrifying is like, oh yeah, that money that you have, you can't touch until you are a certain age, which means you have to work for a certain number of years till you can use that money, till you can touch it, etc., etc. And that's terrifying enough for people already. Imagine 400 years. And then I think to myself, you know, this is where every conspiracy theory kind of comes from. It's like someone wanting to keep you safe. You want to believe it because, you know, wouldn't you rather live in a world like if age extension was developed? Let's say it's been around for 50 years. Like, oh yeah, of course, you just take the pill that stops the old age process. Why wouldn't people work on that? We have so many incentives, so many people with billions to throw around, and you know, a limited number of years left. Why wouldn't we have life extension technology? And what if wouldn't you be? How would you feel if the answer was like, oh yeah, we do have life extension already? It's just that the reason we don't want to tell people is because it will just make your life worse. Knowing it exists but you can't have something is worse than it. Like I thought about this a lot. Like we're in a current crisis where this whole thing comes up. Like, is it okay to lie to people to improve their lives? And generally I err on the side of no. I'm on the side of like, no, you're not really improving. Like I think knowledge is more important than, you know, like the truth and making your own decisions from it, even though only some people obviously can or will. To me, that is a more important thing. Being able to have the truth and make your own valid decisions. To me, that's much more important than the, you know, like the ability to feel good and safe. But some people want to feel good and safe. They want to have someone looking out for them and making sure that they're fine. And for those people, I would say, oh, oops, we need to go back and get that stone that we left over here. But for those people, I would say, okay, it's in some of these furnaces. There we go, look at that. But for those people, it's like, oh yeah, you know, like, it's not only just like, wouldn't you prefer to not know you could live to 500 just because you're never gonna get to that, you know, because again, if we make up some hypothetical price tag, like $1 million is what you probably make over a lifetime, and you can't save all of your lifetime's wealth to get there. But if that's just the cost fundamentally of making this happen, you know, that's not a cost that even if we took everyone's money, you know, force people to pull 100% together, which some people don't like as a principle, but let's just say that that's what you do. Oh, there's only one thing you can make out of smooth stone. That's so sad. But even if we could force all of that somehow, it's still, there is a fundamental capital limitation, and then who do we decide gets it? And it's kind of sad in that level. It's kind of, you know, like, again, lies that make people's lives better, are they worth it? Like, if you were cheated on, would you rather know or rather not know. And most people say, like, this is my favorite example to get people to say they'd rather know. And I think it is a little bit disingenuous because, you know, obviously if you're being cheated on, even the thing that actually hurts you is not being cheated on. Like, you don't suddenly feel pain in the middle of the night, like, I think my partner was unloyal to me. I can't be sure, but it feels like it. No, it's because of the betrayal. And therefore, not learning about the betrayal means you wouldn't be hurt, right? That's one way you can take this. So the creeper farm, by the way, there's like 2 simple improvements. One is I need to make it work during the night as well as the day. So I need to make it dark all the time. So I'm going to first cover it in stone blocks and then cover it with stone blocks in stone slabs. I don't know if I even need the... Oh no, because light will go through the slabs otherwise. That's why I have this here. Fun fact, in case you're curious, because you know I am curious. Also, you know what? We're going to leave the 1 soul torch there just for fun because it's perfectly centered and that's nice. But, you know, another example is like, I can't argue for sure that's happening right now. But, you know, like, it's kind of a led question. One of the things I think a lot of people are happy with is what if we misrepresent statistics to do with current big illness pandemic in the world to make it feel like people who are in the groups which will suffer least from this thing feel like they might suffer more so that they don't make callous decisions for others. Because, like, if you are a young person with no old people you care about in your life, you know, because most of the old people anyone cares about are going to be their family. If you're a nice person, hopefully you care about those who aren't your family. But that's, you know, like, we most of the time people think about, like, oh, yeah, the people I care about who are in the at-risk groups, like maybe they got a pre-existing condition, maybe they're older, it's gonna be a family member, right? Usually. So, you know, like, if one of the things I see online a lot, on social media particularly, you don't see it in many other forms of coverage, it's particularly in places that target young people, are things being like, oh yeah, this person thought they were immune, and then they, you know, they got this. And, you know, that sometimes it's like this person died despite, they were young and healthy, and it's like, young and presumed healthy. It's like, well, that's very different. Like, there's a lot of, like, pushing off the idea that, like, oh yeah, no, you're not ever entirely fine from this thing. It's always going to be dangerous. Also, I want to see if it's dark under here, which we can't do during the daytime, so I guess we're going to have to. We have to waste our night where this would otherwise work. But let's just see if my... First of all, let's see if my torch gets through, because if my torch doesn't, then it's officially dark down here. No, it's the same level of darkness here than it is at the edges, so I guess it works. Can't be sure till we go down, though. So this is my creeper farm. If you haven't seen it, I like it a lot. It's not super efficient right now, because there's a couple of things we gotta do. Although, actually, 2 creepers in that time span. That's nice. Two in a row. Hopefully we keep getting some while we're here. But, so yeah, one of the things we have to do was cover up the ceiling, so it works during the day. And the other thing we have to do, this is something that's kind of important for any farm that involves mobs, is we have to light up some areas that aren't really around here. So one of the things I did is I lit the entire ground, just because I'm lighting up the world anyway. But also one of the things I think we have to kind of follow up with is not only lighting up places like this, where a mob could spawn, because, you know, lighting up hills is a very hard thing. You can't do the whole... Like, the square rule works perfectly on a flat land, or almost flat land. On a mountain, you need to place way more torches. Like, look at this over here. A mob spawns here. It wastes one of the spawn cap. It never dies. It's a whole problem that we get rid of by placing torches all over it. Preferably not on the walls, because walls are less effective than the floor, but... However, we got to do it, you know. And then also we need to start digging down because there's... See, look, over there. A creeper spawned there. How did it spawn there? I genuinely don't know. But we stop it spawning there. And yeah, we need to do that all over here. Just find the kind of weak spots. Make sure they're lit up. And also, we need to dig down directly below this thing. And we need to find if there's any caves chilling down there. Because there must be one. The fact that I can only get about 12 creepers max and then no more creepers ever spawn makes me think that down here somewhere there's going to be a cave. So we're just going to dig down, do the big bad technique you shouldn't do in Minecraft, but we got a water bucket, and it's fine. And I'm going to see if we find a cave. It's up there somewhere, I think. Hey, there we go. Oh, wait. First of all, we found a cave. And look, there are creepers in this cave too. And now we need to torch this place up, because every time I was, you know, like leaving the thing for creepers to spawn up there, some things would spawn down here. They'd never die. It'd cause problems. So we got a whole cave system that I've never been in before. I always love this. Like, this is a world that's how many years old? And for the first time, I'm visiting this cave system that generated back in 2012. There's something nice about that. There's something complete about finishing something from all those years ago. Or start going into something that I haven't seen in all those years. It just makes me feel good and kind of nice. Maybe that's just me. Maybe that's a weird feeling. Maybe I should feel weird about feeling weird. All I know is it's really nice to play some Minecraft and to chill. And I really enjoy the fact that, like, as soon as people start expecting, like, oh, ToycatA, now you can never do farm stuff again, I like to throw them off by being like, yeah, let's have a whole 2 episodes in a row dedicated to farming. What are you going to do about that? How you expect that? Also, it's interesting, this whole area. So this gravel clearly fell from somewhere. It's probably blocking the way. So is there something behind it? Nope, there's not. There's something up there, though. Let's torch that up just in case. But yeah, I feel like being unexpected is sometimes a valuable thing to be. I've kind of worried about the idea that, like, you think you die when your body stops existing. You think your idea, you think your sense of you dies when that's a thing. But I think the reality is if you are at least a little bit unexpected, then people don't, because you know when you look at other people, oh, I actually went through this cave with that and I just didn't know about it. That's kind of wacky. But I guess I have been in this cave before. I just was like, it's a cave. I don't need to worry about it right now. Because I didn't realize that this would be a creepy farm one day. So there's a valuable lesson. Always think about the future. Or maybe don't, you know. Maybe the valuable lesson from today is never think about the future. Maybe the valuable lesson from here is really that you should be unpredictable. You know, when people think that you're going to make a video going into caves, that's when you make a farm video. When people think you're making a farm video, go into caves. Throw them off the scent. Or maybe the real lesson from all of this, maybe the thing we should all take away, is you not be what you want to be. And in Minecraft, it can be hard to do. And a lot of people give you contradicting advice on this one. But it's important to do what you want to do sometimes. And, you know, again, if there's anything I've learned from the onslaught of, like, I don't even know if it's really even criticism, just people, let's call them haters to stick to a nice, fun internet term. But, what is that? Why is just a single spider chilling in there? But there's something that I feel like we can take from this. It's like, there are a lot of people who disagree with anything that you do. If you do something out of the norm, it's going to be hated, and sometimes for very valid reasons. There's a lot of non-normal things that are kind of weird. Like, I know I was really suspicious because I walked outside my house and, like, all 4 of my neighbors, which, like, I have a family living next to me. They were just, like, sing outside their house like they were waiting to go somewhere. And then when I came back, like, 40 minutes later, after I got, like, after I got a Subway, though I'm gonna eat for lunch. Actually, just after this let's play. But after I came back, they were still waiting there, like, looking like they were ready to go somewhere. That made me uneasy. I was like, oh, why haven't they left yet? Are they leaving? Is that just where they're hanging out? But, you know, the ultimate reality is, like, it doesn't actually matter what they're doing. Just because it makes me uneasy, that doesn't mean I get to say, like, no, you will stop sitting outside the front of your house, friends, because I don't like it. And my opinion is supreme here. I think we'll find, which, you know, I don't think anyone would find that, actually. Pick up this gravel, and I think this cave is done. So unless there's another cave, which I guess just to be safe, what we should do is we should go further down this thing. Okay, I'm just going to be extra careful with this cave because, again, it's very up and downy, which is where this stuff is most important. But let's look down here and let's see if we can see another cave, maybe. I don't think we can. Although maybe, you know, just in case it's important. It's a very risky thing to do this, but again, we spin around and then we're fine. We torch it up. Okay. And then there's a cave down here too. Which, again, not so important, but maybe important enough. And then we place torch there, here, there, everywhere. You know, just in case. Who knows for sure. And boom, now we got ourselves a room. I don't know why this beacon's turned off, actually. Like, having haste would be surprisingly useful. You know, maybe the creepers would get haste too, and I don't want them to be hasty. We should never be too hasty. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this particular episode of the Minecraft Xbox/Bedrock Updated Adventures Let's Play. The kind of name change there, in case you're curious, is because even though I'm playing on Xbox for the most part, that's where the majority of this is happening. I think with the switch to Series X, depending on how good, you know, the brand new Xbox port of Minecraft Bedrock is, I might just switch straight up to PC. Like, I've been kind of disappointed with the way Minecraft on consoles is just treated as an afterthought. Like, oh, yeah, that exists, I guess. And so one of the, like, kind of plans for me. Also, this cave is such a mess. I forgot what a weird thing I have to go through just to get where I'm going. Also, we're going to mine some iron anyway. You know, let's keep that thing going. But at the top of this is a little mob spawner farm we can get out to. But yeah, Minecraft console is always about, like, kind of secondary part of Bedrock, which has been fine for me. Like, it works now. Like, the fact that it didn't work for the first, like, in some way for the first year or so of existing and replacing the other version was kind of wild. But it works now. It gets updates at the same time, although in my experience, not always marketplace updates. There's a lot of weird stuff going on here. But like, depending on how much they prioritize the Series X, we'll kind of see that one. Because even though we know Minecraft will run on the new Xbox console, because you'd assume, oh yeah, Microsoft owns Minecraft. They're going to really care about that. Maybe this is great because it shows Microsoft's impartiality, or maybe this is awful because it shows their inability to do things that benefit themselves. But one of the things I think we're gonna let's get up it, nice and easy. But one of the things that I feel like we're seeing is that, like, oh yeah, Minecraft, Microsoft, the console manufacturers, and Minecraft, the people who share a studio with them, they don't seem to be on great talking terms, or at least if they are on great talking terms, they clearly, if they're having, Microsoft clearly doesn't value their consoles enough to put Minecraft PlayStation on, which is great news for everyone who plays, Minecraft on a PlayStation or on anything else like that. But it also means that we have to go make some slabs again, by the way. But it also does mean that, like, it's a terrible experience playing the Microsoft game on the Microsoft console. Again, we're gonna have to see if they get rid of Xbox Live Gold. Maybe that'll swing me back over. We're really gonna have to see, because right now I pay a yearly fee to play a Microsoft game on a Microsoft console, which cost a lot of money, but doesn't even run Minecraft to the full of its potential, because they promised they were going to update to they said they were going to update to the Xbox One. Don't want to use the word promise, and then they just didn't. And it's a wacky time being a Minecraft Xbox player, and that's why, in case you're curious about the kind of name change or the branding change, it's just we kind of realized that even though it's Minecraft, also actually, I guess it's daytime. Let's see if it's dark enough to spawn mobs. I think besides, like, these very corners here, it's probably still not dark enough in the daytime. I think we have to expand that even more out to the edges. Yeah, we definitely have to go, like, at least a few blocks over. Maybe all the way over to here, and then we could, like, have it be self-enclosed or something. But we got lots of ideas we can consider, but we'll consider those in the next episode, because I hope you enjoyed this one. I went on for too long again. I'm sorry. Thank my assistant for editing this together while I don't have access to a proper, way to do that, or an Xbox or whatever. Because, next week I'm heading to America. I'm very terrified about that. Gonna have been in Turkey for 2 weeks then. Very terrified about how that even goes, because current situation, you guys hear about that? Bet you guys haven't. But no, thank you for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, because I'll see you next time. Goodbye.